there! Glad you're back with us for another episode of the CMO's Guide to Everything. Today, we're talking about creative approaches for account-based marketing. Joining us is Andrea Clatworthy. Andrea is the Global Head of Account-Based Marketing at Fujitsu and has been named one of B2B marketing's top women in tech. One of the keys to a successful ABM strategy is the creativity with which you reach out to target accounts, and Andrea has that in spades. She's got some of the best anecdotes of anyone I've heard in this industry and some great insights into how to rally support within your organization and keep the energy levels up. Let's go ahead and jump in.
The CMO's Guide to Everything podcast is sponsored by Advertos, a digital marketing agency. Advertos helps B2B technology companies to target potential customers with laser accuracy and micro-targeted messaging. The firm leverages a mix of creativity, strategy, and digital technology to produce measurable results. To learn more, visit advertos.com.
Good morning, Andrea. So let's start out by talking a little bit about the partnership of sales and marketing. For an ABM strategy to really work, you've got to really facilitate good communication between these historically very siloed departments. How have you found success here?
Well, I don't think it was me that did that. I think it was the ABMers. You know, it's about how they were working with the account teams, essentially, who they work with. Now, you could argue that I enabled a bit of that. Maybe I did. Well, I must have done, right, because I trained them. But they've done it. So it's been them. So it's there has been some instances where it hasn't worked, obviously, because people are human beings, right? So if you've got an account manager that's saying, I don't need this, well, okay, so you know, fine, off you go. You know, you don't have to have ABM. Or there's been an ABMer that hasn't got on with the account team for whatever reason, and you just swap people around. So to answer your question, it's not me, it's them. It's our awesome ABMers that have made that work.
Yes, I found that's true a lot. The team has so much to do with it.
That marketing here and sales over there model, that can't exist forever. You know, they've got to come closer together. And you see that in pockets. But for this one-to-one ABM, it really does work that way. And I think that's brilliant. Proper team effort. Proper team effort. Not this chucking stuff over the wall and hope it sticks. As marketeers, we tell each other this all the time. Oh, I created all these leads and nothing happened with them. Well, don't create the leads. If no one's going to use them, don't create them, because all you're doing actually, potentially, is disappointing a customer. There's a customer spent some time with you, whatever scoring mechanism you want to use, whether it's minutes or whatever, then actually they'd really like to have a conversation or buy from you, but the sales guy never continues that piece of work. Then that's lost. You've lost the customer for life, probably, because they're going to feel let down. I don't engage with them. They haven't engaged with me. So that's why I love the whole ABM thing. So I guess that's what I'm passionate about, really, is sales and marketing working together, and that piece about really getting to know the customer.
So to really get into the heart of what we're talking about today, ABM is much more than just creating new content or a fancy new landing page. It's about really tapping into creative approaches to target accounts. What sort of creative, out-of-the-box things has your team come up with that have worked?
Where do you start? I think the starting point of being creative is to think about not what you're trying to sell, but what problem is your customer trying to address. So, there's a really classic one here, right? So nobody buys a drill and a drill bit because they want a drill and a drill bit. They buy a drill and a drill bit because they want a hole, So it's thinking about what problem are you trying to solve, and if you come at it from that perspective, then instantly you've stepped away from the technical and the features and benefits of your solution, and you're thinking about what's the problem that your customer's trying to solve. And then go bonkers with the creativity, and that bonkersness can be in the narrative, the story that you tell, the visualization of it, the tactics that you decide to use. It can be right out there. So we use got a bit of a methodology that we use to help us with this, called human-centric design, and we've got a load of co-creationists that are trained in this process. So when we get really stuck, we bring them in, and they take us through a structured process of almost thinking outside the box, and you kind of get to some really cool ideas. But other creative stuff, it just happens, So some of our people are naturally just really creative. And I'm probably one of those. And quite often people will ping me and say, can I pick your brains for 5 minutes? I'm trying to land this message. What can I, give me some ideas on how I could do that. A good one recently was we were bidding into a retailer, and that retailer is very, very conscious around the sustainability story. So they weren't buying sustainability from us. They were buying some tech, right? But how are we going to differentiate ourselves? So well, they've got a clear sustainability story. We've got one as well. And this particular had quite a strict RFP process and buying cycle, and that included face-to-face meetings and a big BAFO type thing. We go in and pitch kind of thing. So not all customers do that anymore, but this customer did. I'll say, right, so if we're going to do that, then let's leave behind something more than just, the deck in hard copy. Just something really small that just makes them think that we've thought it through, because we had thought it through. So what we left them actually was honey that our bees in beehives who produce honey at one of our campuses, and they're tended to by our staff as just a nice thing to do. So and they create a ton of honey, so they jar it and label it, and we made some especially for them. So that was a piece of us leaving it for them. So just a little jar with a honey thing, and the customer just loved it because nobody else from the tech industry had used that line of thinking. So little things like that, really. The most bonkers creative thing I did, this is 3 years ago now, or it's 3 years ago. I created a Guinness World Record with our customers. I don't know if you've heard this story.
Yes, I saw this briefly come across my newsfeed, but it looks so interesting. What happened there?
The story is, so every year we have a big customer event, so 10,000 people or whatever. And for those customers that we care most about, so our ABM customers, I run a VIP program for them. So they get, white glove treatment through that event. So personalised agendas, exec meetings, those sorts of things. And on the evening before, it's a 2-day event, on the evening before, I bring them together for a really nice dinner. So not a selling environment, really nice, with our very senior execs. We have an after dinner speaker around whatever the topic is for the event that year. This particular year, the topic for the event was digital co-creation. Okay, so I'm thinking, how can I do something that will land that message in a really memorable way? And to the life of me, I couldn't think of an after dinner speaker. And actually, these people that come to our dinners, they go to a lot of dinners. So I wanted to think of something different. And I wanted it to be a surprise. So there was no prep required on their part. They could just rock up. So what I decided to do was to enable a digital co-creation thing. And we landed on creating a mosaic using our technology. So we produce product as well as service. Mm-hmm. And we've got an iPad equivalent for industry, not for home use. So we've got 220 of those, and enabled every single one of them to have a different piece of a mosaic digitally on it. And so what our customers did was put these in a grid to make the mosaic, and then it had to run a video, and they had to move and have music and that imagery and last for 90 seconds. So very strict rules from the Guinness World Record people, and they are awesome, by the way. They are brilliant. The Guinness World Record people, love them. We're coming for a nice dinner, so it was a lovely place. It was the BMW Museum in Munich. Lovely venue, really, really slick and smart. So that in itself was a nice thing. So they were eating amongst the cars. And then, they'd eaten, and then we landed this on them, and they loved it. So every single customer got to put at least one tablet in this grid. Most of them did 2 or 3, and it's not in the video, but every one of these tablets had a number and a letter combination on it, so that's where they went in the grid. So we had them all in there, and clearly it didn't quite work first of all, so lots of tension and all this stuff, and then it worked. It was just brilliant. And the Guinness World Record lady said, "You've achieved a brand new Guinness World Record," and cheers and everything. And people were tweeting about it and all sorts. At the end of the evening, every single person in that room had a Guinness World Record, and they were part of that. And that was just awesome. And then, because they knew what number and letter they had on their tablet, pretty much everyone bought one.
Oh, wow. If I were a part of that, I would have bought it too.
You would, right? Because that's a tangible piece of your Guinness World Record. So that was fab. I love doing creative things like that. Now, sometimes creativity is not the right thing to do, and you need to dial it down. But quite often, I think human beings are human beings, right? You want to engage with them on real stuff, or stuff that has an emotional response, or makes them just think a little bit differently.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in conversations with your executive leadership, how do you go about setting expectations and pitching ideas like this?
So this is such a good question, Laura, and people ask me this quite a lot. And I don't know is my honest answer. So when we first rolled out ABM, we started in the UK, and the challenge was, Andrea, what are we going to do differently next year in marketing? Okay, standard challenge, right?
Right.
So I thought about it, and a bit like what you've done, sit back a little bit, just reevaluate what you're going to do. I said, I know what we should do is we should stop all this demand gen stuff where the leads never get followed up, and pivot our activity to do account-based marketing across the organisation. And we always did some. We didn't, because we have lots of big customers, right? So naturally you do some of that. But we didn't have any governance, we didn't have any policies or standards or anything. So I thought, right, let's do it properly, and let's invest in that. And I just said, I think we should do this, and these are the steps I'm going to take, and this is the investment we need for training, and this is how we're going to enable it. And everyone went, okay, and that was that. And then when I invented this VIP program, I said we should be treating our customers better. And I need a space, I need access to this, and everyone kind of went, okay. And then when I said we should do this Guinness World Record, everyone went, that's a really good idea. Okay. So there's been a lot of that, I think. And I don't know why people say okay, whether it's I'm able to articulate the benefit, not sure I can, or maybe it's just that I'm a great motivator. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Or I've just been super lucky.
Well, I would say that probably a history of success has a lot to do with that. When you get your first couple of wins, even if they're crazy ideas and they work, you suddenly find yourself with a lot more latitude to suggest the crazy things and have people go, okay.
Right.
Are there any other points that you'd really like to hit on before we close it out?
Well, a question that I often get asked by people who are starting their ABM program is how do you, not how do you pitch it initially, but how do you keep the momentum going? Because actually what tends to happen is you start and then you kind of don't see anything for a little while, So what do you do to keep the energy levels up and to keep your stakeholders engaged? And what I say is every possible milestone, every possible little nugget of success, share it. And that might be a simple thing like you've managed to engage over LinkedIn with Bob, who you've not managed to get by another means. You go, yay, we've done it, brilliant. Or it might be that we've nurtured somebody through to a real opportunity. Or it might be that we've created an awesome video hero piece for this specific customer on this. So whatever it may be, celebrate it. And when you can get to the point where it's not your ABMer promoting it, but it's your account manager saying, look at the ABM I've done.
That's very good advice. Well, Andrea, we appreciate so much you sharing your creative approaches. I know I found a tremendous amount of inspiration for the next big idea. Thanks so much for joining us, and I'll look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Thank you. Have a good day. Cheers, Laura. Bye for now.
Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and drop us a review on iTunes. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love to hear from you. Tag me on Twitter at CMOGTE Podcast and let me know what you think about the show and if there's any topic you'd like to hear about in the future. And until next time, this is Laura Cuddle, your host from the CMO's Guide to Everything.